Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. Got a special Thursday morning edition, a special battle of the 5-0 undefeateds content creators. We got Bill Brandt here. He's an Eagles content creator. You may know him from BSing at Sports. You can see all the info down below. He's at Bill BSing Sports on Twitter, at BSing_sports on YouTube. Or maybe that's the Twitter handle. And then the YouTube link is in the description of the show. So Bill, welcome. Please let everybody know anything I may have missed. Also, if you want to promote anything now and at the end of the show, other shows you have coming up, you want to talk about and promote, get that out there. I like to help any way I can with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Ted, first of all, I got to tell you, I'm going to have to recruit you to do our intro video. That was amazing. You're going to have to get Trey Lance off of there. But outside of that, it's an amazing little intro video, man.
Yeah, thank you. It was a guy named Benji who helped me do that. We unfortunately had a parting of the ways. He blocked me about 3 times on Twitter. The third time I just said, maybe that's it. But yeah, we picked the song together, and he picked some stills because there's thing to keep in mind. A lot of people like to use video in their intros, but video can be a copyright infringement with the NFL.
That's right.
And so having the stills that kind of move like that is a safer option when you're getting ready to get monetized, which actually I just did about 2 days ago. I hit the first level of YouTube monetization. So I am able to have channel memberships now, and I got my first super chats, and kind of exciting to get that ball rolling after nearly a year of doing this. So
that's awesome, man. Hopefully, obviously we're hoping to get BSing Sports to that same level. Ryan and I, we do a preview show every Saturday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know you guys are obviously on the West Coast, so 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And lately I've been going live with weekly recaps on the Eagles with my boy Kyle on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And then I'm also doing like every 2 or 3 game playoff recaps whenever I get the opportunity for the Philadelphia Phillies. Obviously, they're up 2-1 in the division series. Let's go Phils.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And if you ever need any help with any of that stuff, a lot of help was given to me by big 49ers content creators. And so anyway, I can help. Also, I also know some Eagles content creators. King DV and I have done some shows together, as well as John Vogel, who's a draft scout and an Eagles fan. And then also Shane Half, I think is his last name. He at least came on before the NFC Championship game. I'm not sure. He might be the one I haven't worked with since. But all really good folks, and I'm sure willing to help their fellow Eagles brethren. So,
that would obviously be welcome. Definitely welcome.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, there's always stuff to be learned. I definitely have bootstrapped this thing and done a lot of sort of just trial and error on learning what to do and what not to do.
Same over here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do have a sponsor now, and we'll talk about that later in the show once we get a few more people in here. But now that the money's starting to come in, it's like, okay, this thing definitely has legs. Let's see if I can make it fly, or we can make it fly, because it's a team effort. A lot of people have helped me to do this. And so now I'm starting to think about pumping money back into it a little bit with maybe search engine optimization and marketing, and better hashtags, better titles, all those types of things. So, if people out there in the audience have ideas, DM me, message me, email me.
Let me know. Group chat. I'd like to hear it too. Not going to lie to you.
Yeah. I have a few group chat. You mean a group chat on Twitter?
I mean, anything I can get to help me learn to get better. Look, Ryan and I are also looking to get monetized and move to the next level. We've been doing it for about 2.5 years now. And it's just, we got a small little following right now, but obviously we'd like to increase it. We've only got, I think, 125 subscribers on the YouTube. So if anybody is watching, please go to BSing Sports on YouTube and give us a follow.
Yeah, actually, that's an important thing to mention, since we're streaming on both channels. If you're on TED Talks Ball, make sure you get over to BSing at Sports, give them a like and subscribe. Same thing if you're on BSing at Sports, come on over, give me a like and subscribe. If you're watching on a browser, it's really easy. Open up 2 tabs and you can watch both shows at once, so we get all those view hours. or even if you're on a phone and you can't split it, you could always use a secondary device like a tablet, and again stream both shows at once, because the subs are great to get you to those thresholds. But once you hit the thresholds with YouTube, the subs don't really mean anything. It's all about the view hours and the watch
Watched
time.
hours. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
we've
what
done the
really
algorithm.
that's what the money comes from. So thanks in advance to everybody for doing that. So real quick, we got Alex Simpson in the house coming to us from the UK. He said Ted will be a millionaire this time next year. I don't know about that, but hey, my main goal is to make enough money from this to pay for childcare, so that I don't have to be the childcare. So that's the main goal. It's pretty, I'd say a humble goal for now. And yeah, if I could be a millionaire someday doing this, that would be amazing. But let's be realistic. Come on, folks. I'm pretty old to be getting just started doing this at age 53. But hey,
Uh,
we'll
age
take
is
it.
just age is just a number. You're as old as you feel, buddy. So I'm like 75.
Or as old as who you feel. So my wife is a little bit younger, so that helps. About 12 years younger.
Well, there you go. There you
Uh,
go.
so Brant Culp in the house. So Alec is part of Let's Talk Sports. So this is something you might want to check out, Bill. There's a group on Twitter and X called Let's Talk Sports, and we all like help each other and promote each other's shows, tweet and retweet each other's stuff. So Alec is part of that. Let's Talk Sports. There's a guy named Dan from the UK. He's I think he might have turned it over to somebody else due to health issues.
I
But
have just followed.
yeah, check it out, and
I just
we'll
followed
see.
all.
Alec can maybe help us with this, or anybody else watching from the Let's Talk Sports. Let's see if we can get BSing it into there. I don't think there's a lot of Eagles in there. I think, Mitch Kofsky is another one you should know. He's an
Okay, yeah, I
Eagles
know who Mitch
fan.
Koffs. I mean, I
He,
know of Mitch
he has
Koffs.
his own hardcore sports network. We're actually streaming to their
Thank you, Bryant.
YouTube channel right now. I was doing Let's Talk Sports, but they changed the password, and I was just been too lazy to figure out what the new one is. But I need to do that because I usually simul stream to those two channels. So check out Mitch Kofsky as well. He can probably help you in this endeavor as well. So got Bryant Culp in the house. He says smash the like button. Bryant is a 49ers content creator. He's a big Jake Moody fan. He's got Jake Moody at like all four corners of his overlay, a couple from Michigan and a couple from training camp, pictures of him. So that's pretty cool stuff. Alex saying, yo, Bryant, they're just saying hi, and they're saying hi back and forth. We got Red Jet Shell in the morning saying good morning all. Welcome, Red Jet. Thanks for
Good morning.
joining. Great to see you, Shell. And she says, Niners. Outstanding, love it. And then Bryant just subscribed, so there you go. So
Thank you again, Bryant.
got
Appreciate
one
that.
already today, so that's awesome. He says, yeah, Tanner took it over. I'll do you after the show. Yeah, I definitely, like I said, need to get back to streaming to Let's Talk Sports. So Tanner is really cool too. He's I believe a Chiefs fan, and a really good guy. So there's a pretty good smattering of folks in that group. But I don't think there's a lot of Eagles fans, so I'm sure they'd be open to another one coming. And there's a bunch of Niner fans in there anyway, so I don't think it really matters. I mean, Paul Hope and Alec from the 49ers Faithful UK are in there. Bashar, who's 49er minded, I do a weekly show with him. He's in there now. So we all kind of copy each other, whatever we do, whatever seems to be working, right? Why reinvent the wheel? Do
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, great. Thanks, Alec. Appreciate that. Don't bother me here. That's Steven. I met him on Saturday. There was a cool meetup Saturday morning with Wayne Breezy, who's a big 49ers content creator, and John Chapman is another big one. And Wayne was filming this music video. It has that hook of like, so faithful to the bay. And so
I
like,
got you. Okay.
it's so bright that we're shining. I don't know. I don't want to mess it up, but because I'm a terrible singer anyway. But we filmed a music video, and I met Steven there. He had like one of the coolest Niner hats I've ever seen. Super cool guy. We've been kind of keeping up with each other on Twitter and YouTube since. So thanks for being here, Steven. Great to see you. So see you December 3rd, Bill. Nice to meet you. There you go. Oh, she's gonna be there.
I'm really looking forward to the I'm actually located in Florida, so I won't be at the game. However, I'm really looking forward to the December 3rd matchup. Obviously, these are I'll just come out and say these are the two best rosters in football. So I'm really looking forward to that game. Obviously, Ted and I will get into this a little bit in a few minutes here, but Yeah, Red Jet. Don't forget to subscribe on BSing. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And we're shooting to both channels. I don't see the video. So we're streaming right now to Hardcore Sports, to TED Talks Ball, to my Twitter, Bill's Twitter, and Bill's
Facebook.
Facebook. Not so we're not streaming to BSing it on
I can
YouTube.
actually fix that right now. I'll take the
Yeah, do
Twitter.
that.
I'll
Do
take the
that. Take your time.
face. I'll take
Yeah,
the
take
Twitter
the
off, and I'll
face.
put the.
Yeah, whichever one you want, because I've got to go into Twitter, so we've at least got Twitter covered by me. And
There
then
we
if you
go. I
want
took
to,
Facebook off.
yeah,
There we go. Now I'm
because
on YouTube.
Facebook
Sorry
doesn't
about
really,
that, Bryant.
yeah, Facebook doesn't really cross over very well. Unfortunately, it's tough to get those people off the platform. Um, but we got VT 2022 in the house saying hi. Welcome, VT. Thanks for joining. Donald Johnson in the house. He says, hi, all my faithful family. I'm at work. Came to check in and say hi. Thanks for checking in. We appreciate it. And Jet Shell's gotcha. She says, gotcha, Bill, bet. What is wrong with the guest video feed? His camera got a case of Daltonism. No, I think he's got a fan going and the flag is billowing.
I do have the fan going. I'm sorry. I'm in my office, which in Florida gets really, really hot if I don't have a fan going. So it's like non-negotiable.
There you go. That's cool. I think it's kind of cool, actually. It's a cool effect.
Gives me like a waving flag thing. I like it. Yeah.
As long as you know what's going on. Yeah, no worries. He said, Bryant says he's the number 121. Confirmed. Where's the screenshot? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I got the notification. I appreciate you, Bryant. Thank you.
What do we think the record will be when we meet?
We'll get into it. I think obviously we're going to talk about the next 5 games before we meet up. And I'm looking forward to getting into it. I do believe the Eagles have it. We'll get into it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, we can start off any way you'd like. I mean, we can go over our first 5 games of the season a little bit. We can talk about, conceptions we had going into the season, what we're thinking now. Illegal desecration of the flag.
I mean, it's hung up. It's not touching the floor. That's not illegal desecration. Come on, my man. I was in the military. I know all about it.
There you go.
That's optimistic thinking. That is optimistic thinking.
Shaw thinks both undefeated. Well, all right. So, yeah, I mean, I guess where would you like to kick things off, Bill? Sounds like
I guess let's take it off with that question, right? Obviously, the Eagles have the Jets this week, but then they follow it up with a pretty. You're welcome. Pretty tough stretch here. The Jets were supposed to be we keep calling it the gauntlet in Philadelphia. So we got in a row before Aaron Rodgers went down. We've got the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Redskins, and then the Niners. Somewhere in that order. I don't know the exact order off the top of my head, but it's going to be a tough stretch of games there. So it's extremely optimistic thinking that the Eagles will be undefeated going into that Week 13 matchup on December 3rd. How about you? I don't know what the Niners have flying in. What do you got there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's doable for us. I mean, the problem we have is, I don't think we have much problem with the Browns just because of the state of their team. Their defense obviously is nails. Maybe the best defense in the NFL right now.
I would agree with that.
No Deshaun, maybe no Batonio, obviously no Chubb. That's really going to handicap their offense. And our defense was really starting to look like they were coming around against the Cowboys. I don't know if it's just the Cowboys bad or our defense good, but
we can talk about it.
It was definitely the best game of our season because the other best game was against the Steelers week 1. But come on, Kenny Smallhands Pickett. I mean, I'm sure that you guys have that in-state rivalry going with them. And
yeah,
I'm sure you don't think much of the Steelers offense, right? I mean, they've got some nice weapons with Pickens and Deontay Johnson when he's healthy and Freiermuth. I really liked Darnell Washington in the draft much more than Cam Latu, who we drafted. But a few spots later. And then, obviously Najee Harris is a pretty solid dual threat back. At least he was at Bama. But go ahead and give me your thoughts, Bill.
Specifically on the Steelers, I am not scared of the Steelers offense at all. And listen, it's not to say that Kenny Pickett isn't a good quarterback, because I do believe that Kenny Pickett will turn into a really good quarterback. It's funny that you say that the Niners are America's team. And here's why I'm going to bring that up is, do you know the Eagles have had the highest broadcast percentage across the season to this point? Now, part of that is because the Eagles only play 1 o'clock game the entire season. They're all 4:25 or Sunday or Thursday or Monday night
Yeah,
games.
East Coast bias, man.
Yeah, I mean, and there's definitely something to that. I got nothing wrong with openly admitting that the Eagles have the East Coast bias, you know. Um, but in terms of the Steelers, I do believe Kenny Pickett at some point will turn into a good NFL quarterback. I think he's being hindered by the fact that Mike Tomlin is significantly more of a defensive minded coach. And the fact that Najee Harris has just been absolute. What's up, Tim Hawkins? Thanks for joining us. That's one of my regulars. Um, and Najee Harris has not been the Najee Harris of old. You know, he hasn't looked good the last 2 seasons, and it's just going on to this season. And for whatever reason, they don't do a good job of protecting their quarterback in Pittsburgh. So their offense doesn't scare me, but obviously they have one of the top 5 defenses in football. So, you know, that's got to be something that's always talked about. Now, in terms of the Niners versus the Cowboys game, man, I would love to get into that. More specifically, one of those questions I told you before we went live is, how do you feel about Micah Parsons and all the shit he's been talking after the game, not
Oh
before,
man, I
since they
mean,
got crushed?
yeah, I mean when he's coming out and saying, "Oh, we're all contenders," it was like the stuff I was saying. Give him credit. I was saying all that stuff before the game. I got into a lot of trouble before the game with Niners fans because I was being a big Cowboy apologist, apologizing for their loss to the Cards because they had 4 out of their 5 offensive linemen were out and 3 of them are kind of all pro caliber. And I'm saying,
Every team deals with that stuff.
I get it, but not 4 out of 5, right? I mean, that's a lot. You say next man up, that's the next 4. Plus, they also lost Diggs that Thursday before. They have literally like one walkthrough to adjust to that, and then play the Cards. So I was finding all kinds of reasons why I thought that we should respect them. I predicted 24-21 Niners. Close game. I didn't think we'd be up 42-10 with 11 minutes left in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter. That's pretty insane. Nobody would have predicted that, but with all the turnovers, 3 interceptions, the fumble recovery, even though I guess CMC gave up a fumble too, right down on the goal line.
he did. Yeah, but that was
That
early
could
in
have
the
been
game.
that could have been a turning point in the game. I was a little concerned at that point, but yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, they're not at our level clearly. And saying that the score doesn't show in the game, you're right, Micah. It doesn't show because we could have ran it up 50 plus if need be. If you guys
Yeah,
had
you
actually
sat all
scored
your
some points
starters
on
with
us,
with
if
13
there was
minutes left in the game.
if there was a reason to, but no, we pulled all our starters. So no, I mean, I quote tweeted him and I said, "Honest question, Micah," or one of the tweets that had it written out, and I just said, "Honest question, Michael, what color is the sky in your world?" Because I often ask that to highly delusional people on the timeline when I'm arguing with them. Either that, or another thing I love to do, Bill, is start a poll where you're just like, it's like 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 to 1. It's like, okay, don't I don't want to argue with you anymore. Just argue with the poll because clearly nobody agrees with what you're saying here.
It's funny that you mentioned the word. You said the word delusional because right before I jumped on live with you, I was talking to a bunch of my buddies, and I said one of them sent me the link about how Micah Parsons is still running his mouth, and I said, listen. The people in Dallas there are just delusional. I can't figure it out. It must be something in the air, right? Like because they're just delusional in Dallas. Here's the
And
reality:
then
is
when their delusion is shattered, so are their TVs. Best Buy, I'm sure, did bang up business on Monday.
yeah,
Um,
I've
you
seen
know,
videos of that stuff. So
oh yeah, it's hilarious.
there's like obviously there we talk about it all the time. There are tiers in the NFL, right? And in the
Yeah,
NFC specifically, there are tiers. And right now, I think it's the Niners, the Eagles, and then there's everybody else way below them. I do in fact at this moment in time in this season believe that the Niners are a better football team than the Eagles are playing right now. Now I get it. It's a bold statement, but the Eagles have not come out hot. They have not looked like the team that they were last year, dominating teams. I mean, we had the conversation after Brock Purdy got injured. You and I did a show after the NFC Championship game, and we specifically said it's a completely different game if Brock Purdy doesn't get injured, and that's 100% true. So like all those other Eagles fans who were saying like, no, we would have blown them out of the water anyway. I flat out said there's something to be said about your defense being on the field for 40 minutes a game. They're eventually going to get gassed. They're eventually
yeah.
going to give up a lot of points. End of story. But right
And I
now, with the way the Eagles have played, I believe the Niners just look like the better team on paper right now, or not on paper, in video right now. On paper, they're very equally matched.
Yeah, I echo your sentiments on all that stuff. Um, different game. Not saying we necessarily would have won. I've said pretty much all off season. I don't know if we were on together, but if I did, pardon me repeating it, but basically 50-50 against
Yeah.
y'all in the NFC Championship. If Purdy stays healthy, I think whoever had the ball last or whoever's defense made a big stop at the end would have won the game. But, coin flip basically there. And I thought maybe a little less than 50-50 if we had made it through to the Chiefs. Um, because they're Patrick Mahomes, obviously,
Yeah.
and the refs.
I don't
But
want to talk about it.
I know, I hear you. But we can get to that. We should talk about that at some point
That's
because they're
fair. That's
like,
fine.
I would just say Lane Johnson because I got so tired of hearing about the freaking mind of a center when he's false starting every freaking other play. But as far as I think we're a little bit better than you guys right this second, but we haven't played a lot of good teams yet. I will say that. Like rolling into the Cowboys game, I made an apology to Purdy because I had denigrated him some this offseason. Well, I mean, I called him mid, and mid has a negative connotation, but I meant like middle of the pack, average, mediocre. Mediocre also has that kind of negative, but it all kind of means the same thing, middle of the pack. So I had him at 16 going into the season, or I said 14 to 18 when 16 is obviously smack dab in the middle of that. Then after the Giants game, I bumped him up to 11 to 15. And after the Cards game, I bumped him up to 8 to 12. And after the Cowboys, I bumped him up to 6 to 9. Still not in that elite top 5 group, but getting close, sniffing it
I mean,
for sure.
I checked it out before we jumped on. Pro Football Focus has him as a top 5.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of the more
Completion
aggressive
percentage
people,
is 71.2%, I believe it is. He's thrown for 1,400 yards this season, hasn't turned the football over. These are all really good stats for Brock Purdy.
I think Michael Irvin has him really highly ranked too. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
That
some people were
surprises me.
adding me to Michael Irvin, who was basically saying that he was, I don't know what. I'll have to go back and see. Probably MVP conversation, and I can see why people do that. I'm just a little bit more hesitant to crown. So like after the Cards game, I did go ahead and like put out like a quasi. I was wrong. I was wrong through 4 weeks, right? And saying like, but we haven't played any contenders and maybe only playoff pretenders because I'm not convinced that the Rams will make the playoffs. And even
I think the Rams
Steelers,
make the playoffs.
okay, and even the Steelers too. They're both borderline playoff teams. Steelers are 3-2 now, so they're obviously looking like it right this second. But I don't know if that holds up for the season. We'll see. Bottom line is, then after the Cowboys game, I had to come out and just say, look, no more qualifiers. I was wrong. I've been doing like the apology tour show yesterday. I said basically, I don't know, what did I call it? The one yesterday, I said my Brock Purdy apology tour, my weekly show with Aaron Labigan on Wednesdays. And then today I've got, after this show, I've got Ryan Hensley on, who's a big 49ers content creator. And the title of the show, even though it's like a Browns matchups and Cowboys recap show, it's like I was wrong about Brock Purdy and I apologize. So like I'm definitely eating my crow, if you will. Served well done. So I'm not ready to crown him, like I said, as an elite QB yet, but definitely I'm saying he's franchise. That's sort of that 6 to 10 range where you're not really looking for a new QB anymore, right? You're
Here's the thing with Brock Purdy, though. Like, think about how this is going to sound exploded, right? And obviously a little bit intense, but think he saved the Niners franchise. Think about what they gave away to get Trey Lance, right? And then Mr. Irrelevant turns out to be a franchise quarterback. Like, you gave up a lot for Trey Lance and then sold him for, what was it, a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick?
Yeah, I was pissed about that.
I know you were really huge on Trey Lance. However, he hasn't had the opportunity to prove it as a
Never
starter.
played with CMC.
That's true as well. Having said that, the guy you do have playing with CMC is undefeated in the regular season. He's taken 1 L as a starter, even though he didn't play most of the game in his career. I think you got to run with that hand. I really do. But look, I get it. As a 49ers fan, you guys are like, oh, well, we gave up 3 first-round picks to get Trey Lance. Okay.
No,
I get it. But the guy that you have is doing the job.
Yeah, and I get it now, Bill, because I said all along this summer, like once you pick one and you're really sure on who your guy is, you got to get rid of the other one. Yeah. I just thought it was too soon to get rid of Trey when we did, because Purdy had not looked good in camp, and that was to be expected. He was coming off of surgery. He was rusty. I totally understood why Kyle installed Purdy as QB1 to start the season. I just thought we'd be smarter to hold on to Trey Lance in case something happens to Purdy, like has already happened. The guy's not
You
exactly
have
real
Sam
big.
Donald.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't trust Sam Darnold at all. If you saw him in camp, you'd understand.
I think the reason they chose Darnold over Lance is because Purdy and Darnold are very similar in how they approach the quarterback position, right? It's the same reason, and I didn't like this move when the Eagles went out and got Marcus Mariota in the offseason. Did not like it. However, we saw the offense last year become very stagnant when Jalen Hurts was injured because he couldn't run the same type of offense. At least Marcus Mariota is a similar type of skill set to Jalen Hurts, so it makes sense to go out and get a quarterback that is similar and keep that, so the offense doesn't have to change much.
And I like that theory, but then look at what Gardner Minshew is doing for the Colts. Isn't he like 3-0 and doing pretty well over there?
I feel so bad for Gardner Minshew. The guy's got like a 68% career completion percentage. He doesn't turn the football over that often, and he just can't find a starting quarterback position in the NFL. You mean there's 32 guys that are better than Gardner Minshew? I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't think so either. I agree, but that just happens, kind of like Fitz magic. He was, I think, better than a lot of starting quarterbacks, but at some point you just get labeled as a journeyman, and that's just what you are in this league.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Right or wrong. And sometimes you can work your way out of it, like it looks like Geno Smith has, but it'll be interesting to see. Tim Hawkins says, if our red zone offense wasn't terrible right now, we'd be putting up points as well. But we have red zone issues right now.
He's talking about the Eagles. That's 100% true. Sure. Yeah.
How do you feel about outlawing the tush push?
The brotherly shove, as we call it in Philadelphia.
Brotherly shove. That's good. I love that.
Actually, let's go at it real quick. Other teams have tried to do it, and they're not successful. The reason we are successful isn't because there's guys pushing Jalen Hurts past the line of scrimmage. It's because Jason Kelce is one of the best centers in history. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds. I'm sorry, but your skinny linebackers aren't taking him down over the top when he's already pushing with his offensive line. Let's not act like the Eagles don't have the best offensive line in football, because they do. And again, when you can squat 600 pounds, it doesn't matter who's pushing you. Your legs are doing all the work.
Yep. No doubt about it.
So, but again, we've seen other teams try it. The Giants injured 2 players on the same play trying to do it on Monday Night Football against Seattle. I've seen the Rams try to do it against the Eagles this past Sunday. They had a lineman get injured and go out. It's going to go away. The NFL is going to look at it, and they're going to call it player safety, and it needs to go away. It's not a rugby play, VT 2022. Jordan Mailata was a rugby player. He's our left tackle, and he flat out says that's an insult to rugby because it's not a rugby play.
Yeah, I get you. I just would hate to see where it just people come out and they just run it over and over again, and there's not even a huddle, and it's just not even football anymore at that point. But there's this thing of like, if you don't like it, stop it. And so far, no one has. So hats off to the Eagles there.
And I think that needs to be the attitude. Chris Sims coming out and saying, "Well, I would try and take Jalen Hurts' head off," is the wrong way to go about it.
We don't want to injure anybody, not on purpose.
Correct. You don't want to see anybody get injured, and I agree with that.
It happened enough by accident without trying to do it. And that was the thing that came out of the Cowboys game too, was a lot of people were saying people were trying to injure Christian McCaffrey. There was the face mask early in the game, and there was Micah kind of twisting his knee when he was in a pile. I don't know. But then people were saying that Trent Williams was trying to hurt LVE when he shoved him into Micah on the Jordan Mason touchdown play where Leighton Vander Esch injured his neck. Prayers up for him. Neck injury is back. That's nothing to joke about. I hope he's okay. So
same, yeah. I don't like the Cowboys at all, but there's never been a time outside of Ezekiel Elliott where I've said to myself, man, I really wish that guy would get injured. But now, having said that, now that Zeke is on the Patriots, I don't care about Zeke. It was specifically Ezekiel Elliott on the Cowboys that I felt.
There you go. Then it's okay.
Ryan Swift makes a few good points here in your chat comment, if you don't mind if I rattle them off real quick.
No, that's fine.
He's talking specifically about the Eagles. Obviously, I know this. We're going to do a collab. We're going back and forth here. He says 3 things with the Eagles. 1, expectations are much higher this year compared to last, which causes more scrutiny. We lost both of our offensive and defensive coordinators, so new schemes, learning pains, and they just aren't as good as they were last year on the defensive line. which should have been expected. Not getting 70 sacks is what he's referring to. Now, here's the thing: is you guys took
No, there's
Javon
this guy
Hargrave from
named
us.
the Gravedigger. What happened to him? I don't know. Where'd he go?
Yeah. So as good as Javon Hargrave has been for San Francisco, Jalen Carter has been better for Philadelphia.
He's
Uh,
been surprisingly good. No doubt about it.
There's a lot of he was probably the best talent coming out of the draft, and he fell to 9 at the Eagles. And honestly, there were people saying like, how could you let that guy fall to the Eagles at 9? And I kind of agree with the chatter. We already had one of the best defensive trenches in the league, and then you let us get Jalen Carter. I know he had some off field stuff, and teams were scared of him, but he seems to have cleaned up his act. Jalen Carter,
and he's playing hard. That's the other part. There were motor concerns with him too, right? So
yeah. So for instance, right before this Rams game, he found out that Fletcher Cox, before they got on the plane to go to LA, he found out Fletcher Cox wasn't playing, and he was going to get every rep. Well, as many as he without needing rest, obviously. On the plane ride to LA, he studied, 6-hour flight? He studied 6 hours of film on Matt Stafford and the Rams offense to figure out how he could beat them. And then he went out and did it. So I like it. I just like it. Right now, the motor seems to be there. It looks like Ryan, thanks for jumping in here. I know you're on your break at work, but and he seems right now to have that desire to be better. And I think part of that is obviously the veterans we have.
So real quick, that's Ryan from BSing at Sports, right? That's your
Ryan Swift is the S at BSing. So okay. I know people think that we're just saying bullshitting, but it's Brant Swift.
Brant Swift.
Sports.
Okay, Bill Brant. Okay, so
okay. Correct. Yes. So we thought it was a little fun name, and now actually, I'm not going to lie to you, we're having a hard time getting. Well, we have MLB credentials, but nobody will take us seriously enough to get into games. So we got to maybe reconsider the name. But I don't want to. I like it. We're BSing Sports. Yeah, I love the name.
Yeah.
So NFL and MLB, take us seriously. We're not messing around. We want to do this. Let's go.
There you go. I'm just catching up. I'm going up in the chat here.
That's fine. Go ahead, do your thing, man. This is, like I said, this is your
show.
But
there was something I loved about the Couch Boys, and I had heard the beginning to it that I like too. The dull ass Couch Boys is pretty great. I think that's I'm gonna melange those two together, mix them up. I love that, the dull ass Couch Boys. Beautiful.
Brian, I hope you're right. Brian, I hope you're right that they are both undefeated going into that rematch. I really do. Listen, Nick Sirianni has that team ready to go. Eagles, I mean, has that team ready to go every week. And they haven't looked as dominant, but they find ways to win. And that's something that needs to be talked about, right? They haven't looked as good, but they're winning.
Yeah. And I was saying, I wish we'd played you guys already this season when we're hot. And when you guys are sorting out both coordinators and all these rookies, you guys have this great draft class, but draft classes 50% of the time, rookies or drafted players bust. If you're doing well, you're hitting on 50%, and of the other 50% that make it, a lot of times they're not ready as rookies. But it sounds like Jalen Carter is, or maybe Jalen Carter is going to even take it to a whole new level as a second year or third year player, which is possible. Yeah, no, it's interesting. As far as us being undefeated, we mentioned that. So we have the Browns, as I mentioned. We have the Vikings after that. But it's like Browns, no Chubb, probably no Deshaun Watson.
Their defense is
Vikings,
the best in football.
No Jay Jettis, no Justin Jefferson for that game.
That's true, yeah.
That's a monster loss. Then we have the Bengals, and they're a team where they've been scuffling, but it seems like they're starting to get it together, and they were one I circled this season. There are 3 games I circled before the season. Cowboys, Bengals, Eagles are like my surefire Super Bowl contenders, at least I thought before the season. And then the other games were the 2 against the Seahawks and the Ravens. And the Ravens is a big one because we're minus 20 rest days this season, which is worst in the NFL. And the Ravens are +9. So by Christmas Day when we play them, they're going to have close to 29 more rest days under their belt this season than us. So that, if no other reason, that's a reason to say, oh, that one that I thought might be a W might be an L instead on Christmas Day.
Trap games. I hate the phrase trap game, but it does make sense sometimes. And in that scenario, it does.
Yeah, it does. So there's so between now and then, like I said, Bengals, we have a bye. Then we have the Jags in Jacksonville that they are looking tough. They just beat the Bills. that Trevor Lawrence is good. Christian Kirk is good. Ridley is really good.
Yeah.
Now he's back from his gambling woes. Um, we got the Bucks. They've been surprisingly good this season. A lot of people still have them in the top 10. I'm still not buying it, but I'll be there at that game for sure. I think I might be at the Bengals game as well. And then I'll be at the Seahawks game, not the one before we play you guys, because that's Thanksgiving in Seattle. Then we go to the Eagles December 3rd, then December 10th back at Levi's. That's the one where those are probably my 3 scheduled games. Plus my uncle usually comes through with one more. So we'll see. But yeah, so between now and then, I could see the Niners dropping. I mean, I could see the Bengals potentially. I could see the Seahawks potentially in Seattle. So I could see us losing 1 to 2 games. I wouldn't probably bet on us losing any of those just yet, but
so for the Eagles, with the way the Chiefs are playing, that's not a loss to me. I'm very concerned about Miami's offense. But now
yeah.
with the Bills' defense being all banged up,
Oh,
Bills are
that's
less
heartbreaking.
intimidating. Yeah, the
Heartbreaking.
Bills are a
Trey
bit less
Davis White
intimidating
against
now.
the Dolphins, and then Matt
Milano,
Milano against the
yeah,
Jaguars in back-to-back weeks. And I think they lost Daquan Jones too, who's a pretty good defensive tackle.
they did, yeah.
So I mean, wow. I mean,
Yeah, but again, all of a sudden that Bills defense doesn't look as intimidating.
no, not at all. And honestly, when they beat the Dolphins, I tweeted out, I was like, the Bills look like the best team in the NFL right now.
I said the same thing.
And then of course, Trey White went down, and I was like, oh, that's going to hurt. They obviously got Von Miller back, which takes some of the sting out of those losses, but certainly not enough to cover. I don't even think it's enough to cover Trey Davis White being out, let alone
So
all the other.
defensive lineman players on opposing teams don't scare me. And again, I've already touched on this a little bit. The Eagles have the best offensive line in football. Look what they just did to Aaron Donald. They frustrated him so bad that he ended up sitting out the last 2 drives of the game because he couldn't get anything done and he was frustrated, so he sat out. So, and keep in mind that Aaron Donald was up against our backup right tackle or right guard in Sua Opeta. He wasn't even facing Cam Jurgens, who was the natural starter. And they still frustrated him so much that he didn't get anything done. He had 2 tackles, 1 for loss, no sacks, no quarterback pressures in that game. So defensive lineman players on opposing teams don't intimidate me as much as they used to in the past. And until Lane Johnson hasn't given up a sack in almost 3 seasons. Jason Kelce has given up 1 sack in 2 seasons. Jordan Mailata, he got bullied a bit early in the season, but he's looked significantly better. And right now, the way they're drafting offensive linemen, the guards are literally like plug and play, and they continue to excel. We talk about losing Isaac Seumalo in the offseason, and then Cam Jurgens steps in and does the great job that he does. So defensive lineman players don't intimidate me. So for a team to scare me, the secondary has to be good, and their offense has to be good because our secondary is not good.
Yeah, well, losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Yeah, I mean, I was fading the Eagles a little bit to start the season because of losing the coordinators, because of losing Hargrave. You lost all your inside linebackers, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Suamalu, Sanders, but it seems like Swift is maybe better
an upgrade.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that at this point, yeah.
But the offense still seems like it's a little clunky without Steichen. It seems like there's been a little adjustment period with that.
The first 3 games of this season. So, I mean, we say that, right? But then you look at the stats, and they're 5th in the league in yards, and they're 10th in the league in scoring. They're 27th in the league in red zone scoring, which obviously isn't good. But they're still 10th in the league in scoring without the red zone scoring. So, I mean, they're still getting it done, just not at the level they were last year. I think it's just growing pains, Jalen Hurts has thrown for over 300 yards in the last 2. I do like that question, Reed Blankenship. I'll get in there. From WikiUps Elite. Yeah, that one. I'll get into that in just a second. So the eye test says that the Eagles aren't doing as much on offense, but they're also winning the time of possession battle significantly. You're talking their offense is on the field for almost 35 minutes a game, and their defense is on the field for less than 25 minutes a game. That's a huge deal, So they look clunky, and the eye test says that they're clunky, but statistically they're not clunky. And it's just a weird thing, right? And I think part of it is you're used to seeing them go out and just absolutely dominate. There was some question marks about Jalen Hurts running and why he wasn't doing it. And then against the Rams, he ran for 80 yards. Like, the team can kill you in so many ways. Now, I would like to go over to the Reed Blankenship comments. Oh, actually, Bobby Murphy. That's a good point. Fans overreact to games. Look at Miami score 70 versus the Broncos, lose to the Bills, and then the Bills lose to the Jags. It's any given Sunday, 100%. For the Reed Blankenship, I think
Part of the Jags and Bills though was the Jags were in London for a week and the Bills showed up jet lagged and
that
got on all those injuries. So
I do agree with that. Yes, I said that on our show as well. I was concerned about the Bills having to fly there when Jacksonville's already been there for a week.
yeah, that's a huge advantage.
I like Reed Blankenship. He's made it so the loss of C.J. Gardner-Johnson isn't as apparent. Now, our other safeties, really something to be desired there. We're running out Edmonds and Evans every other week. Evans can't stay healthy, and Edmonds can't cover. So Slay looks like he's lost a step. I said this the other night. Bradbury, I don't know why they played him in the slot. He's much better on the outside. I do think the addition of Bradley Roby is going to help our secondary because he's a veteran, and he can communicate. Whereas the young guys like Eli Ricks, I think Eli Ricks will be good, but he's not a slot corner. He's an outside corner. And Tim, yeah, I want Ted to answer that one. So I think the addition of Bradley Roby, a veteran who communicates well. I mean, you saw it in the second half against the Rams, right? Like Kupp was torching us 9 for 113 yards in the first half, and then he got 23 yards in the second half. So just communication is big. Veterans are big, but you're going to need safety help, and Blankenship can't do it all by himself. So I am concerned about the Eagles secondary, but I do want to hear the answer to that question right there, Ted, if you want to fire away with that one.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, we're overusing CMC. Part of it is that Elijah Mitchell can't stay healthy. Jordan Mason has had fumbling issues. He would look good against the Cowboys, but I think Kyle is always reticent to use him because he fumbled some in camp and in the preseason games. So, and then Ty Davis Price is he's all right. He's just not on the level of those other backs, despite being a third round pick. Us and third round running backs, it's not a match made in heaven. I'll just say that. But yeah, we're overusing CMC, and it's a concern. We saw, the nice thing though was then the Cowboys did everything they could to take CMC away, and everybody else just went bananas with Ayuk, Kittle. Obviously, Kittle with three catches for 3 TDs, and Debo, with a real big catch and some nice runs. So, hopefully we can start getting a little more balance with that because we definitely need CMC. He's the engine. Purdy's in the MVP conversation. So is CMC. And, I've been playing a graphic with that of my Brock Purdy Week 6 thumbnail out there on the timeline. But basically, I think that CMC being in there with a bunch of other quarterbacks, it takes away from Purdy as a quarterback. So I think it'll make it tougher for Brock to win the MVP, knowing how great his weapons are. I mean, if people factor that in, casuals don't care about that stuff. All they care about is number 1 QBR, number 1 passer rating, no interceptions, no losses. And
it's the eye test, right?
It's impressive. But yeah, compared to the eye test, for me, it's about what would, the reason why I say 6 to 9 and not number 1, even though his stats are kind of number 1 or up there, is because I think there's at least 6 to 9 other quarterbacks in this league that could jump in and do as good or better in our system. Maybe not like in the first game, but if they had as many games as Purdy has had, 12 games to get used to it, that's more what I try and do. Just like the same way when I compare Kelsey and Kittle. When I say Kittle is better, it's because Kittle would do everything Kelsey does on the Chiefs, plus more yak and blocking if he had a quarterback like Mahomes. And we're starting to see it with Purdy now, where he had 7 TDs in the last 4 games of 2022, and all of a sudden 3 TDs in 1 game here. So you're starting to see it in spurts. But if we could get that going consistently, I don't think people would be saying Kelsey's a better receiver either, because we've seen him with Hoyer, CJ Beathard, Mullins, Jimmy G, a little bit of Lance, and now a little bit more of Brock Purdy. But yeah, so it's a little different. And also we're a run first scheme versus the Chiefs are the most pass happy scheme in the league. So it's like polar opposites as far as number of targets due to throwing.
I mean, the Chiefs have to be pass first, right? Because I know that they have Isaiah Pacheco, but the only reason Pacheco is any good is because they fear the pass more than they do the run in Kansas City, right?
Keep two high safeties to
correct,
keep
exactly.
Mahomes from going deep.
But Bryant Culp says Weapon X, CMC is Weapon X. I'm sorry, there's only one Weapon X, and I'm wearing him. His name is Brian Dawkins, and he was a Philadelphia Eagle for a long time and a Denver Bronco. Find a different nickname. Weapon X ain't it for CMC. It just ain't.
I'd never even heard that one before, so that's new to me.
Oh yeah, well known as Weapon X. The best part about Brian Dawkins is when he would talk crap, he would never curse. Doggone it, dang it. I love Brian Dawkins. Love me some Brian Dawkins. I got his legacy jersey on right now. It's obviously the green on one side, the black on the other.
Well, there's that whole genetics thing, 23andMe. We could call him 23 and TD.
That's funny.
So where were we? WikiUps had a question. He said, "Do the 49ers have more pressing need at corner or offensive line?" Yes. Yes.
The eye test for me says that you guys need more offensive line. You got to protect Purdy and CMC.
Yeah, I mean, our defense is looking pretty good. Yeah, but I mean, they're both concerned. Right guard, Spencer Burford is a concern. Right tackle, Colton McKivitz is a concern. Nickel corner, Isaiah Oliver is a concern. Then in nickel, that's in base downs. And then in nickel package, we slide Diamador Lenore from boundary corner over to nickel. And so that's covered there. But then we put in Ambry Thomas at the boundary. He's a concern. So yeah, I identified those going into the Cowboys game. I think I've done it more than that in my articles, preview articles that I write for Sports Illustrated. So yeah, still concerns. They can all improve during the season. I expect McKivitz and Isaiah Oliver to improve. Ambry Thomas and Burford, maybe not as much. Defensive end is another issue. We got Randy Gregory, super cheap from the Denver Broncos. But I think he's just better than blanking on his name now. The old guy who had been around forever is a Lion Kasaric guy, came to us, went to the Seahawks, back to us.
Drawing blanks here on me, buddy.
I think the Texans picked him up. And look at, it probably won't show up either on a depth chart because he's depth. Man, having a total meltdown here.
I'm also trying to find it. I can't find who you're talking about. But I think Randy Gregory is definitely an upgrade to anybody that you already had on the roster, obviously, or they wouldn't have traded for him, you know?
Yeah, it'll show it in here. Or not.
You guys still have Bosa, too, don't you?
Yeah, we obviously still have Bosa. We have Armstead. We have Hargrave. We have the big surprise was Kinlaw, because he was in camp. I went to all 9 open camp practices this summer, and our best player was Brandon Ayuk, and he's balling out. Kinlaw was our second best player in camp, and he's been doing great. And I said if he stays healthy, because he's had knee issues the whole time, that he could be our best depth piece on our D-line. And sure enough, he's playing well enough that we're even doing 5 D-linemen bare fronts with 1 linebacker and 5 DBs. To get him in for more playing time. So Kinlaw's been a real nice surprise. I can't think of the guy's name. Someone will type it in here. We released him when we picked up Randy Gregory. Anyway, with Randy Gregory, I think he's good. I just think he's, cheap. As far as, we gave up a 6th, which will probably be at the end of the 6th round or towards the end of the 6th round. The Broncos 7th is probably towards the front of the 7th round. So probably not many picks that we gave up to get him. And they ate all his salary. We only have him on a vet minimum and nothing guaranteed moving forward. So it's a low risk, high reward type of position, type of move. But I don't think he's like the defensive end that a lot of us have been clamoring for to go on the other side of Bosa. I don't think it's like an Ngakoue or, or like I just saw Frank Clark's name come up from the Broncos, that they just have been doing some restructuring on his deal, which leads me to believe he might be dealt before long.
They've already come out and said that every single player on their defense is for sale. Come and get them.
And we definitely want Pat Surtain. That would be insane. If we could get Pat Surtain.
I would take Pat Surtain.
Who wouldn't, right? I mean,
yeah,
come on,
right,
he's
exactly.
a top 5 guys on a rookie deal. I mean, I would give up a lot for Pat Surtain, I suppose.
I'd probably give up somewhere around a third or second or a third. Late, because we're going to be late second, so I would give up second to get Patrick Surtain.
There you go. I don't think so. CMC is the only who can take him out. I don't know. CMC is the ultimate weapon. Brian's on a mission here. He also likes McKivitz, our right tackle weapon. I actually saw that. Cowboys is limited. CMC, just no one else. Yeah, exactly. Well, they say we're a pick your poison type of offense.
Eagles as well, yeah.
And yeah, Eagles as well, and I would say Dolphins as well when A-Chain is playing.
Yeah, I mean, let's break that down real quick, right? Obviously,
yeah.
So the Eagles had this game against the Rams. Devontae Smith doesn't catch; he catches one ball on 5 targets. I was told. I thought it was 3. The eye test said it was 3, but PFF says it's 5. I don't remember Devontae Smith being targeted 5 times, but it doesn't matter. He gets 1 reception. If you went into that game and told me Devontae Smith was only going to catch the ball 1 time, I said the Eagles were losing that game. And they won convincingly. I know the score doesn't say it was convincing, but there was never a time in that Rams-Eagles game, especially after halftime, where I thought to myself, the Rams are going to come back and win this game. And it's the same thing with the Niners. You completely take CMC out of the game. They put up 48 points. Like, it's a pick your poison. Now, I haven't seen who gets removed from the Miami team yet. I know Waddle didn't play the 1 week, and they, put up 70 points or whatever it was against the Denver Broncos. But it's just a scenario where it doesn't matter. If you're going to hyper-focus one player on these offenses, everyone else is going to burn you. So you really got to pick your poison. Do you want to let them, as a whole do mediocre, or do you want to let a couple of guys be really elite because you shut one guy down? It's a really nice problem to have for your offense and my offense.
Well, like you said, an offensive line is the key for us, because how do you deal with the poisonous snake? Like the 49ers offense, you cut the head off. And so you put pressure on Brock, and that's Purdy, the way you're going to limit our offense. So, yeah, and the 2 most likely points are Spencer Burford at right guard and Colton McKivitz at right tackle. Now, the D end / DT that I could not think of, Kerry Hyder is his name. He's been around the league, and so he is now a Texan. And I'm saying, okay, yeah, I'm saying Randy Gregory's better than Kerry Hyder. That's why we let Kerry Hyder go to make room for him. But I don't think he's like, the guy that we've all been clamoring for to make this D line like it was in 2019 when we had Bosa, Armstead, DeForest Buckner, and D Ford at the other defensive end. The nice thing about Randy Gregory, though, he is a speed rusher. That's like what D Ford was. So the trick is you send the speed rusher in first, the QB steps up, then Bosa comes in second, and then it's sort of like hounds to the hunters. The D tackles are there in the middle to clean it up with Hargrave and Armstead. So if Randy Gregory can just do that, he doesn't have to get a lot of sacks. He can just get some pressures. I know he's good at stripping the ball. So, I'm not saying he's bad or anything. It's just I saw some people saying like, oh, this is, now we're winning the Super Bowl or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know.
He's not that big of an addition.
I don't think he is. I think Drake Jackson might be better, the guy we already have. He's just good depth. That's the way I look at him.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll surprise me. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. So we were saying that, you guys have great weapons. The Dolphins have great weapons. We have great weapons. No doubt about it. I think we have the best just because CMC is such a difference maker. Plus, just the depth. We have Juice Check. Most people don't have a fullback. Jennings is real good. And then even, go even deeper, like Ronnie Bell is, out of Michigan, has shown some real promise. He led the preseason in Yak for the NFL. And then had a real good game when Ayuk was out with the shoulder briefly against the Giants. So he played well on special teams and caught a touchdown. So
yeah. So I follow. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names on your pod, but I follow Philly Sports Podcast obviously all day long. I work from home, so I'm able to have like YouTube up while I'm doing it.
Nice. You can say whatever you want. I don't mind. Promote.
Okay, so
promote. anything you're a believer in, I want to hear about it. I'm sure our listeners.
I just don't know if I'm allowed to come out and say their name on your pod. But anyway, so I follow Dan Cilio, football, and he comes on at 2:00 every day. If you guys haven't had a chance, check him out. And he come out and he said that DeAndre Swift is like the Eagles version of Christian McCaffrey, and until I see more. Now, listen, he caught 6 receptions the other day for 43 yards. He rushed for 70 yards. Those sound like Christian McCaffrey numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until he does it consistently, I'm not about to go ahead and put him up there with Christian McCaffrey. However, DeAndre Swift, we already touched on this for a second, has definitely been an upgrade to Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders couldn't catch the ball out of the backfield. Tim
That's
Hawkins
huge.
disagree with me, but Miles Sanders can't catch the ball out of the backfield. DeAndre Swift can.
Well, just let me know when DeAndre Swift throws a touchdown, then you can start the conversation.
I got news for you.
Like
Don't think that he can't. I've seen some of the practices where they're just goofing off and he's throwing the ball 40, 50 yards down the field. So
nice. Well, CMC did it against the Rams that the second week we had him last year. It was so huge because the Rams had been in to get him. They had made a similar offer that we did. The difference was we had a second, third, a fourth, and a fifth. Instead of the fourth, they had offered up Cam Akers, and the Panthers said, no, we want the pick. And so that got us over the hump. And what a huge difference that was. We swept them. That was the fourth season in a row. Now we're halfway through sweeping them for the fifth season in a row. And you mentioned Aaron Donald earlier while we are talking about the Rams. And yeah, it's great to stop him, but he has no help. Let's be honest, right? He has no help on that line. He has no help at linebacker. He has no help at. I mean, they have John Johnson. They got back from the Browns, who's a good safety.
Even they announced it on the broadcast the other day while the Eagles were playing the Rams. They interviewed one of their linebackers, and they were like, well, how do you guys feel about your defense? And he just shrugs. He goes, it's Aaron Donald and a bunch of guys you don't know.
Yeah, bunch of Jags.
That's the reality of the situation,
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, real quick, I want to do a quick commercial break. I do have a new sponsor. You can see it in the upper corner there, TTG. So I'm TTB, brought to you by TTG. They are the Travelstead Group. They are retail and hospitality logistics. So they do transportation and warehousing for brick and mortar. They do FFE, which is fixed furniture and equipment. They do OSE, which is operating supplies and equipment. They do new store rollouts or new store openings. They do rollouts, relocations, decommissions. And it's from the first mile to the final mile and everywhere in between. Travelstead has you covered. Let us know how we can help you via air, ocean, or land. Closed loop solutions for retail and hospitality. So Nick and Henry are the guys I work with there. They're great folks. They have, all U.S. based support, because when you're doing logistics, there's always snafus, planning, things go wrong. You need to get a hold of somebody quickly and get it fixed. It's good to know that the people you're talking to are here in the States. They understand what you're going through, not in some foreign country where they have no clue what your business does or how to get it fixed. And their website is in the description for the show. It's in my YouTube About page, my Twitter bio, also Instagram and Facebook, wherever you follow me. Click on it, check out the video. It's cool stuff. It's obviously business to business rather than business to consumer, but great folks and a great product. So check them out and tell them Ted sent you. I appreciate it. So sorry about that. Just got to pay the bills, as they say.
No, man, right? You do you. Like I said, this is your show. I'm just here to help. WikiUps Elite does ask a great question. In your opinion, has the better head coach, Kyle or Sirianni? I'll let you go first before I tackle it.
Well, I mean, I think they're both real good. I'm going to pick Kyle just because
Homer.
We Homer. Because Kyle has more of a track record. He's been doing it. He did it. He's done it with the Falcons and before, and it's longer track record. Also, Kyle really hasn't had his QB this whole time. So I think you can't really judge him until he's got his QB, and it looks like he does now. And look what he's doing now that he does. Now he has someone he really trusts to do everything. This offense is starting to look unstoppable. I think it'll look a lot more stoppable against the Browns D, at least early in the game. I think their D will get tired as the game goes on, just like our D got tired against y'all in the NFC Championship game.
Exactly.
That's how and our D got tired in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Our D got tired in the NFC Championship against the Rams. It's happened a lot of times when we couldn't sustain drives to keep them rested. But I mean, it's close. Sirianni's outstanding, and obviously he won head to head last year. But I think just what Kyle has done, and also Kyle's a GM too, right? I mean, Sirianni has Roseman, who is a real GM. Howie's legit. He's one of the best. I think he and Veach are two of the best. But Kyle, I gave him a lot of grief this offseason because I was like, Kyle is a genius at everything except for QB. And at first I started out with third round running backs, like I mentioned earlier in the show. And then I was getting to like every third round pick not named Fred, because Moody was struggling in the preseason, and that hasn't shown up. He's perfect in the regular season with a lot of field goals and PATs. Um, but yeah, so I'd given Kyle grief because I said, like, you know, Andy Reid was Kyle until Kyle passed on Mahomes. And then Kyle also passed on Brady when he wanted to come retire here instead of the Bucks. And he grew up,
Yeah.
just a little ways up the road from me here in San Mateo. Went to Sarah High School. He wanted to retire a 49er, and I think we would have won at least 2 rings if we had him. Also, he was in on Stafford and didn't get Stafford, and like then obviously the Rams won a ring with him. I think we would have won 2 rings with Stafford in 2021 and 2022. And then even just as quickly or recently as last year, he had Purdy as QB3. I'm like, do we really think Purdy was our 3rd best quarterback in 2022? Like, I was starting to doubt his judgment on how to pick quarterbacks, but now, and I said earlier in the show, like, that I thought, it might be too early to, crown Purdy and get rid of Lance, but clearly Purdy has played into that. If Kyle knew this was coming, then Kyle's much smarter than I am when it comes to quarterbacks, obviously. My only concern, though, is if Purdy gets injured and we have to put Darnold in. Like you said, but you got the similar styles of play. That we'll see what happens. And I never root for injuries or anything like that. And I can't root for Lance now that he's a Cowboy either. I mean, so it's tough.
Yeah. So it's a great question. Listen, I love Nick Sirianni. I love his intensity. The crying at the Super Bowl, people made fun of him for it, but he was so emotional at the fact that he, got his team there and everything was going great. I love it because he just shows emotion. And in Philadelphia, you want a coach that shows emotion. You want somebody who's going to be super excited for the good, super pissed for the bad. And Nick Sirianni is all of those things. Not to mention, I believe Nick Sirianni is 28-11. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni are no, that's not even accurate. It's better. It's a better record than that. And you're right. He's had Jalen Hurts this whole time. He has Howie Roseman, who does all the contract finagling to get better players in here because you free up money somehow, somewhere. You just figure it out. Lane Johnson has restructured his contract like 55,000 times since he got signed,
including the highest. It was like a 1-year extension, but still is like 33 million or something. It's by far the highest.
Correct. Yeah.
Single year contract for any O lineman ever.
So because Sirianni has so much help and he's had his quarterback and he has Howie Roseman, I'm going to say that Kyle is the better coach here. And it's not, again, I want to be very specific. I'm taking absolutely nothing away from Nick Sirianni and what he's done for the Philadelphia Eagles and in the Philadelphia Eagles organization and in that clubhouse. He's clearly a player's coach. He gets it. He's like there. The emotion is raw and it's intense and I love it. And I'm not taking anything away from Nick Sirianni because he's a phenomenal coach, and I'm happy to have him in Philadelphia. But for me, it's Kyle. It just is Kyle as the better coach.
Wow, that's awesome, Bill. I mean, you're getting all kinds of non-homer awards here because you said the Niners are slightly better than the Eagles. Kyle's slightly better than Sirianni.
Right now. Niners are slightly better than the Eagles right now.
Right now. Okay,
very
fair,
specific.
Yeah. No, that's fair. As of week 6. That's all we can really go off of. And
Correct,
it could easily change. I do expect the Eagles to get better as the season goes on, as I mentioned, with so many rookies.
They've gotten significantly better every week.
New coordinators. There's every reason to, like I said, that's why I wished we played you guys earlier than week 13 this year, because it'd be a lot easier for us to beat you now, I think, than it would be to beat you then. But it's going to be a hell of a game either way. Obviously too early for score predictions or anything like that, but I think we've covered a lot of that stuff. Where do you stand as far as like NFL goes? It sounds like you got us as the top 2 teams in the NFL as well.
Yeah, you always got to be wary of the Chiefs, right? But no, right now, my power rankings, it would definitely be, and again, sitting here right now, week 6, it would be the Niners and the Eagles are like here, and then the other teams are down here. And that's just the way I see it right now. Again, you can't Big Red, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes. That show is going to do what they do. They've won Super Bowls because of how good those 2 people alone are, let alone, the Travis Kelce's and the defense and everything. But no, for me right now, sitting here week 6, the two best teams are the Niners and the Eagles. I think if I had to give you a legit top 5, it would fall in with Miami, Kansas City, and I'd still put it's a toss up between number 5 at the Lions or the Bills.
Okay. Yeah. So I've got us number 1, Eagles number 2. Yes, Chiefs 3. It pains me to say it. Just because I feel like with Kelsey, I think they're going to have to add a weapon before the trade deadline. I just don't think Kelsey's enough. Pacheco's obviously really nice. Jet McKinnon's a good receiving back, but they're kind of like two halfbacks compared to Swift and CMC, as we talked about, that are complete backs. And then I don't know, they don't seem to be very happy with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, CEH, after drafting him in the first round. But I'll go Chiefs 3rd, I guess. Bills are somewhere in that 4th, 5th range. Yeah, I'll go Lions 4th, Bills 5th, Jags 6th. But then you got like Seahawks.
You missed Miami there.
I did miss Miami. I don't know. I don't know if I'm missing them. It's still that office space. I don't trust their defense.
That's true. Listen, like we said, 1 and 2 are obvious. It's everything behind them that gets a little murky.
Yeah. Chiefs, Lions. Yeah, I guess I would go Dolphins like 5 or 6. Seahawks are right in there too, though, I think. Jag, Bills. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, the one that I don't totally believe in is the Bucks in the top 10. But I guess we'll see if
they fall in at 11 for me. I was doing the rankings in my head last night. The Bucks come in at 11 for me.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, that sounds about right for me too then. So Bryant says that is he's like a dog with a bone. Darnold is a gamer. He was chanting Sam Mario when he came in the home opener against the Giants in garbage time. So yeah, he's I'm not a Sam Darnold fan at all. I just hope that I like this guy. There you go. Good.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Make sure you're following
me. So Ryan. His partner Ryan's really good too. Ryan and I worked together before the NFC Championship, and then Bill's been on a couple times since. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, great guests make for great shows. It's not me. I definitely rely on. I rely on the folks, to help carry me, just like the way Kyle and our weapons carried Jimmy G.
Yeah, no, seriously.
We can see that now that he's leading the league with interceptions at the Raiders. I had a feeling he was going to fall on his face after he left the friendly confines of this environment.
The Raiders are 3-2. As surprising as that sounds.
No, it is. It's crazy.
But
Jet likes that we're facing you guys later. She wants to be the best. You got to beat the best. Is basically what she's saying. True test.
Yeah.
So, all right. Just careful what you wish for, Shell.
Your next comment there, Shell. It's great to meet you as well. Thank you very much. Make sure you guys are following us on the YouTube and the Twitters, and we are on Facebook. We don't have an Instagram. I do have an Instagram, but it's extremely outdated, and I haven't touched it in like a year and a half. So don't judge me on that. But we are on Facebook. It's not I think it's X now, but Twitter and YouTube, obviously.
Lions over Bills. Tim, I don't hate that, especially given the fact that Tre'Davious White and I think Milano's done for the season. They think it's a break and other structural damage in the knee. And then like I said, is it Traquan Jones or Daquan Jones?
Daquan, yeah.
Daquan Jones. I don't know if he's done for the season, but at least for now, I don't hate the Lions over the Bills. I think they're right in that range. Lions, Bills.
Listen, Dan Campbell has that team ready every week.
I think they're all kind of interchangeable in that 4 through 8 for me. But cool. I think we've covered most everything that we need to today. Anything else that you wanted to talk about that I may have missed while we're here? I mean,
No, I think it was a great give and take here. I like it. I enjoy coming on your show. So hopefully we can get it squared. We had wanted to do this show last week, and then I got tied up in a whole bunch of other stuff and forgot to reach back out to you. I apologize for that, but I'm glad we got it done before one of the teams lose.
Well, hopefully it'll be a while. We can do a bunch
Yeah,
more.
hopefully it's a while. Yeah,
We'll drag Ryan on. So everybody check out Bill. He's Bill at BSing at Sports on YouTube, Twitter, and X.
yeah.
So
It's
Bill BSing BSing Sports, and then at BSing _sports is their YouTube or Twitter and X handle.
Yep.
And then you can see the link is in the description for the show for the
Yeah,
YouTube.
our intro and outro lines are join us on BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports.
There you go. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. I just like to do is learn, teach, and have some fun doing it. And definitely got to do that with you today. Shell's saying "Go Niners, go!" There you go. I'll just say say peace and go Niners. You want to get Fly Eagles fly?
Fly Eagles fly. Go Phils.
There you go. Good luck, folks. Cheers.
Have a good one.